I am Christine Bile. I'm the Director of Arts and Humanities Grant Programs. I respond to she, her pronouns. I'm a white woman with graying blonde hair and blue eyes. Today, I'm wearing a teal-colored V-neck sweater and have a pair of glasses that I may put on as this goes by. We at Mid-America Arts Alliance collectively acknowledge that our offices, as well as the six-state region that we serve, are located on the occupied ancestral lands of First American nations. Mid-America's headquarters in Kansas City, Missouri, resides on land cared for by the Kansa, today the Kaw Nation, the Osage, as well as the Great Sioux Nation peoples. We thank the members of the First American communities and sovereign nations in our region today for their continued service of the land and for innumerable contributions to the region. We also acknowledge the legacy of slavery in our region and the enslaved African people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the economy of our region and the United States, specifically for the production and harvest of surplus crops and land cultivation. Countless millions of Black people suffered in bondage in the United States until the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865 abolished slavery and indentured servitude. Mid-America honors the indigenous and enslaved peoples' contributions and stewardship of the plains and waterways throughout our service area. We honor and celebrate their resilience. We commit to creating a future founded on respect and healing the deepest generational wounds by building bridges and mutual understanding. And last but not least, we continue to re-educate ourselves about the histories and experiences of all peoples in our region. Karis?
Fantastic. Next slide, please. Hello, everyone. My name is Karis Adams, pronouns she, her, and I am the Director of Organizational Services at Mid-America Arts Alliance. I am brown skinned, bald, wearing brown glasses with a burgundy top. As Zoom is fully integrated into our lives, we have some rules. Your mics are muted until the Q&A portion of the presentation. Your camera is your business. Feel free to have it on or off. We have enabled closed captions for those that need and want them. To enable closed captions, please locate the closed caption, the CC option, at the bottom of usually your Zoom window or wherever your Zoom toolbar is located. Please utilize the chat to ask questions. We do have chat monitors that are taking notes, dropping links, and answering questions. To not overload the chat, if you see something that resonates with you, please utilize the various emojis to love, like, or appreciate a comment. Next slide. So a little bit of an overview of what we hope to do tonight. In a few short moments, we will have a word from our Executive Director, Todd Stein, and CEO, Todd Stein. We will then proceed with an overview of the Cultural Sustainability Program. This includes all program aspects, such as the goal of the program, technical assistance, otherwise known as capacity building or professional development, how the program will be evaluated, eligibility, application, and applicant support. After the overview, we have set aside some time for a Q&A. After the Q&A, you're welcome to leave the Zoom room. However, we would love to hear from you. As a part of the planning process, we have surveyed and consulted constituents throughout our region, and we want to extend this opportunity to all of you. Specifically, we would like to know what internal and external challenges you're facing as an organization and what professional development opportunities you need from a program such as this. So feel free to stick around for the roundtable conversation post Q&A. I will now hand the floor over to Todd Stein, and after Todd, we'll have Christine Bile. Todd, are you there?
Yes, I wasn't able to unmute. I am now. Good evening. My name is Todd Stein. I'm President and CEO at Mid-America Arts Alliance. I am a white male with gray hair and a gray beard, and I wear glasses, and I answer to the pronouns he, him. I just wanted to welcome you here this evening and introduce us as your regional arts organization. We are a not-for-profit regional arts organization that serves the states of Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. We focus on strengthening communities and improving lives through extraordinary cultural experiences. And MA exists to activate, empower, and amplify community through the arts. To do this, we make grants, provide career development, and support arts organizations and artists of all disciplines. I'd like to just extend my gratitude to my colleagues that are a part of the roundtable for all of the work they did in preparing for this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Moving on to the next slide. Thank you. So, cultural sustainability is a new program offered by the 6 U.S. regional arts organizations in partnership with the Wallace Foundation. This program will provide general operating support and technical assistance to organizations with annual operating expenses under $500,000. If regional arts organizations are new to you, they are a national collective of 6 501c3 nonprofit arts service organizations that encourage collaboration across regions, states, and communities. And they collectively work toward maximizing the coordination of public funding from state and federal agencies, like the National Endowment for the Arts, as well as private resources from other institutions invested in arts programs across the country. The funding to create the Cultural Sustainability Program comes from the Wallace Foundation's Advancing Wellbeing in the Arts initiative, through which they hope to help build a more equitable and sustainable arts ecosystem. Each regional arts organization is creating its own cultural sustainability program for the states and territories in their respective regions. Let me be really, really clear before we go too much further. If your organization is located in Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma, or Texas, then this cultural sustainability program through Mid-America Arts Alliance is for you. If your organization is based elsewhere, then I urge you to look to the U.S. Regional Arts Organization's website for more information about the cultural sustainability program for your area. We at Mid-America Arts Alliance aim to distribute a total of $1.1 million across our 6-state region to a broad range of small arts and cultural organizations, particularly those closely connected to underrepresented communities that are vital to fostering cultural diversity and well-being. We define small organizations as those with current annual operating budgets of under $500,000. Underrepresented communities are those whose opportunities are limited by geography, race, economics, and/or disability. And our use of the word well-being refers to the social, economic, and cultural conditions that support a sense of belonging, acceptance, and curiosity within the organization and its community. Mid-America intends to provide $50,000 for the purposes of operational support to 22 organizations across our 6-state region. Next slide, please. While each regional arts organization is creating and administering its own program for the states in their region, the Cultural Sustainability Program goals are the same across the country. They include financial support, technical assistance, and shared learning. For Mid-America, goal number 1 will be met through the grantees receiving $50,000 for operational support to enhance their organizational capacity, expand their impact, and improve the well-being of both their organization and, in turn, the communities they serve. The second goal of technical assistance, well, through collaborative learning, grantees will connect with each other, create new networks, and develop strategies to catalyze broad impact across the region. This will take place in a variety of ways, including monthly learning sessions and resource sharing that Karis will talk about here shortly. Our third goal, shared learning, well, in the interest of being fully transparent, for the last year, Program administrators at each regional arts organization have met weekly to discuss and better understand each other's grant processes and explore equitable grant practices in an effort to implement this program in each of our regions successfully. We continue to meet and are participating in a research study for the Wallace Foundation to better understand what inclusive and equitable grant-making practices look like across the country. Ultimately, we hope that the Cultural Sustainability Program is not just a transactional opportunity, but also a transformative one for our grantees as well as their communities, and for Mid-America Arts Alliance and our sister regional arts organizations. Next slide, please.
All righty, back again. So technical assistance, also known as capacity building or professional development, will be provided in 3-month cycles. Each cycle will include, but not limited to, monthly cohort sessions, one-on-one consultations, and resource sharing to connect grantees with new networks and develop innovative strategies that drive broad, sector-wide impact. As a 1-year program, we envision the technical assistance happening in these 3-month cycles with 1-month break in between. Next slide. Awesome. We plan to survey and evaluate grantees throughout the duration of this program. We have several guiding questions. However, our main inquiry is how do historically underserved arts organizations founded in underserved communities align their mission, organizational structures, and engagement with their communities to enhance their organizational well-being and that of the communities they serve? That's a lengthy question. I'm going to drop that in the chat just in case somebody wants to take note. We are still in the process of designing the evaluation plan. However, we have determined that we will conduct a baseline assessment of grantees, followed by ongoing participant surveys and a final assessment toward the end of the program. Christine?
Next slide. So let's talk eligibility. I've already talked about how you need to have a current operating budget that's less than $500,000. And I've already mentioned it's location, location, location. As I've already mentioned, your organization must be located in and have an arts and culture presence in Mid-America's 6-state region. Most of Mid-America's grant making is limited to 501c3 nonprofits, but for this program, Cultural Sustainability, we are expanding eligibility to also include fiscally sponsored groups, artist-centered or artist-led collectives that are incorporated or structured as LLCs, S-corps, and limited or general partnerships, as well as state or federally recognized tribal entities. Organizations must self-identify as being predominantly in service to underrepresented communities. So what do we mean by that? Well, we mean that the majority of your organization's programming needs to be in service to those whose opportunities are limited by geography, race, economics, and/or disability. We know there are a number of other underrepresented communities and intersectionalities that small arts organizations work with, but eligible organizations must self-identify as being predominantly in service to those limited by geography, race, economics, or disability. Organizations must have at least 3 years of arts programming in any artistic discipline or genre. Those years of activity do not need to be consecutive because we know COVID happened. There are many gaps that happen in our programming over the years. And so it's just a matter of 3 years of arts programming of some sort. We invite first-time applicants and those located in rural or isolated areas to apply. That being said, this opportunity is not for sole proprietorships. It's not for individuals. It's not for local, state, or federal government entities, including public or private schools. And our recently announced Arts Here grant recipients are also not eligible to apply. Next slide, please. The funding associated with this program is unrestricted, which means it can be used for routine business expenses such as rent, utilities, salaries, and supplies, as well as any expense in support of the organization's mission that advances its goals, including current and new programs or initiatives, except foreign travel, lobbying, or capital projects or capital campaigns for new construction or for the purchase of land or buildings. And if your organization is an artist collective incorporated as an LLC, S Corp, or general partnership, the funding cannot be used for the sole benefit of any private shareholder or individual. Next slide, please. Successful applicants will help diversify Mid-America Arts Alliance's grant making, including organizations that are led by people of color or members of other underrepresented communities, organizations with a demonstrated commitment to or are rooted in underrepresented communities, those located in rural or isolated areas of the region. And we also encourage first-time applicants or those who have received few or no grants from Mid-America. And last but not least, organizations with new leadership in key roles. We understand that that's often a requirement that leadership have been in position for some time in order to apply for certain kinds of grants. That is not the case for this cultural sustainability opportunity. Next slide. So the application will include an eligibility questionnaire, which is short and sweet. It's roughly 10 yes or no questions that simply circle back around to the eligibility criteria that I've already talked about back on, I think, slide number 9. And we ask questions about what state you're located in and how many years of programming have you had, that kind of thing. So it starts with the eligibility questionnaire, then it moves into applicant information, things like your mailing address, a mission statement, some questions about your personnel. And then there are 4 narrative questions about the organization's values, the community it serves, and the anticipated impact of this program. There's also an opportunity to upload letters of recommendation. We limit that to 2, so if you want to start thinking about who should write your letters of recommendation, please do so. We recommend that it not come from a member of your board of directors or your advisory group, but it's better if it comes from someone within your community who has firsthand knowledge of how your organization makes a difference. You'll be asked for proof of incorporation. This could be a number of different documents, articles of incorporation, your IRS determination letter, fiscal sponsorship agreements, or other binding material that you think is appropriate. There too, we are limiting it to 2 uploads. We will also ask for your current operating budget, and we will ask for tax filings from your 3 most recent years of or profit loss statements if you don't have tax filings. And then support materials. Those are limited to 2, but they can be as many as 5 pages each. And if you submit links to videos, those can be for up to 5 minutes long. Some more support materials are optional and can include work samples, photos, excerpts from annual reports, and short videos. Then you'll apply through Mid-America's online portal, and we will provide grant materials through alternate formats if you request them. So please reach out to us at culturalsustainability@ma.org if you need assistance with translation or other ways of accessing the materials. Next slide, please. So this presentation is being recorded. It will be available in the next week or so. And we will also be providing and creating a video walkthrough of the application in early November. That will go up online on the website. So you'll be able to refer to that if you stumble upon something within the application that's confusing. I'm hopeful that I will be able to walk you through that. We also will have on our website frequently asked questions, FAQs. Those will be online at the time of the application opening later this month. We might have access to it even sooner than that, but for the moment, let's just for sure they will be up in time for the open of the application. And last but not least, as I've already mentioned, please always feel free to email us at culturalsustainability@midamerica.org. It is our intention to respond within roughly 24 hours or one business day to any inquiries that we get through that email address. Feel free to, we figure, things come to us in the middle of the night, and before you forget, feel free to drop an email at any hour, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we possibly can. And then we're going to have office hours every Wednesday starting in November between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I and possibly Karis will be sitting in a Zoom room waiting for you to join us to ask questions and get some clarification if that's needed. Let me say it is not a one-on-one meeting. It is a group session where you can ask your questions, hear other people ask their questions, and hear directly from us what those answers might be. We also want you to know that you can join for the entire time, starting at 2 o'clock, but you also could drop in just for the last 15 minutes, if that's helpful. We've had many people that drop in for office hours. They stick around just to get their question answered, and then they drop off, and that is totally fine. That's what that space is for. Join and leave as you need to, and feel free to return each week if that's helpful to you moving forward. Next slide, please. So the timeline, as I've started to refer to, the application will open at the end of this month in just a couple of weeks. October 30th is our goal. It will close on in January, I believe January 10th. Yeah, 10th at 5 p.m. Central Time. So mark your calendars. Late applications will not be accepted. If you have technical difficulties at the time of application, email us immediately at the Cultural Sustainability email address to let us know so that we can work with you to address those issues as soon as possible. But don't wait to the next day. Email us right away. Awards and grant agreements should be and will be announced in April. We will be distributing payments 80% upfront at the time that you sign your grant agreement, and then the remaining 20% will come at the time of a final report, which will be due in June of 2026. It's hard to think that far out, but that's what it will be. And we will have technical assistance offered by Karis and her team starting in May of 2025. Next slide.
We arrived. It is
We
now
have.
Q&A. So our folks that are working the chat will now allow you to unmute yourself. You may be able to shake a little bit on the camera, do a hair flip or something like that, and ask us your questions. We'll take questions, I'll say 6:45. Yeah, about 6:45, maybe 7. And then we'll just keep on going to the roundtable conversation. So, who's got a question?
I have a question.
Hey, Kelly, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kelly Askew. I'm with the 547 Arts Center here in Greensburg, Kansas. I have 2 questions. One, I was not sure if I missed this. Is this a matching grant or not matching? Okay. And I was just curious, who reviews the grants? Do you guys have a committee board or your executive team that reviews them?
Thanks, Kelly. That's a great question. Both of those are great questions. Yeah, this is a non-matching grant, so it's you don't need to go out and do additional fundraising in order to receive this grant. And when it comes to reviewing, we will be pulling together a panel of folks who are in the arts across our region to review, much like we do with many of our other grant programs. We will be sure that there is representation from across each of our 6 states, and those organizations that are in the application pool, those folks that serve on the panel will have some sort of experience either running one of those kinds of organizations or being an artist themselves working in the field. That's our intention. We will be I've created. I don't know that we've put it onto our website just yet, but we will be accepting folks who want to self-nominate themselves in order to serve on the panel. So if you know of someone who you think would be good for that, point them to our website when the grant application opens, and there'll be a link to a form that folks can self-nominate. Doesn't necessarily mean that we'll pull you in for panel purposes at that time, but by all means, feel free to have folks look at that and consider serving.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. We're going to go to Jennifer, and then I see Sarah's comment in the chat. Christine, you want to take a look at that, Jennifer?
Hello, I'm Jennifer from St. Louis, Missouri, representing Hope Creates. I have a question regarding the videos you mentioned as a part of the application. If we wanted to submit those, did you say there's a 2-video maximum? And with those, does each video have a maximum of 5 minutes, or is it 5 minutes combined?
Thanks for that question. I was envisioning it being 5 minutes each at most. And the uploads would be 2 documents, and in the document you would list the links to your videos or include links to other things that we might want to take a look at as your work samples.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that. And Jennifer had I'm sorry, not Jennifer, too many names. Sarah had a comment in the chat. Is there a timeline for when you have to use up the funds?
Well, it's the time period in which you're notified that you're receiving the funding through the time when we expect the final report to be submitted, because we'll need to know how you've used the funding. So it's roughly a 13-month period, Kara? Just about. So it's over the course of that period of time that the funding would need to be allocated and used.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Alrighty, Lori put a question in the chat. If you receive a grant, how is the amount determined? Percentage of budget question. It's a flat amount from my understanding, Lori.
It's a flat amount, and we the only expectation is that your grant, or rather that your organization's budget is $500,000 or less. That is the only expectation. It won't be a percentage based on the fact that you are a $250,000 budget or what have you. $50,000 is the grant amount, and your organization has to have a budget of $500,000 or less.
Awesome. Thank you. Kristen?
If my cat will let me speak, she's being very demanding at the moment. How much of our grant then should be focused on budgetarily a narrative explaining how we'll use the money in a capacity building versus explaining the value of our programs and the impact of our programs?
That's a great question, Kristen. We have 4 narrative questions, one of which will ask you to tell us how you intend to use the funding. And I forget what the other 4 questions are, but each of those questions are limited to 1,000 words. So we're not asking for a deep dive, but also understanding that the folks who are reading this material, reviewing the applications, will probably not necessarily be familiar with your organization. So be selective about what you share so that we get a real clear picture of who you are. And then with those support materials, be sure that those help to further explain and share what kind of work that your organization does.
Thank you, Kristen. Karina? There we go.
Karina, thank you. So I have a quick question. We actually, this is with Raíces de Mi Tierra from Wichita, Kansas. And we actually just this year were submitted our non-for-profit. We do have the 3 years of dance, the arts and dance items, but we wouldn't have those returns or any profit loss for this year. So I don't know, how would that work? Would we still be qualified to submit or no?
If you have got, for those 3 years that you did offer programming up to this point, if you have some sort of budgetary documentation that you could provide, that's what we're looking for. So it could be a profit loss statement. It could be some other means of tracking your budget.
Okay.
That's what we're really looking for. So If you don't have 3 years worth of tax returns, we'll need to have documentation of how you managed your funding, your money for the 3
Before
years.
that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Karina. Ryan Tinney. Ryan, it's nice to see your name. Come on off of chat. I'm sorry,
Oh, hello.
come on off of mute.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, this is I appreciate that was a great question. That was my question, the particular one. For for loosely run artist collective. Um, yeah, I mean like there's invoices for performances and workshops, and there's also expenses. But in terms of really loosely run organizations, I mean, is it and I haven't seen a profit loss statement. I mean, it might be a simple form to fill out. But it's it was just an same question that was just asked. How can we show that our organization has some sort of budget over the past 2 years, other than just project budget?
Awesome. Thank you for that. If you have any additional questions, feel free to email us or come in for office hours. And just in case you're wondering, as an interchange grantee, I believe you are eligible to apply. So if there's folks out there who have received Mid-America grants before, you're eligible to apply, except for the Arts Here.
Arts Here is the only exclusion. That being said, sole proprietorships and those kinds of structures that are specific to individuals are not eligible. But if you are part of an artist collective, that kind of thing, then you are. So
yes. So I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat, and I'll just put them largely into the space. Is this an annual grant? This is a one-time infusion as of right now. So just so you know, one time. Another question we got, will each of the 6 states get an equal amount of grants or grantees? This is from Naomi. Great question.
Great question. So it depends on a number of different factors. We have not preset in any way, shape, or form the number of grants per state. Our expectation is that if we get applications from each of our 6 states, then we'll award in each of the 6 states. Some of that might be based upon the population of the state. Some of that might be based upon the number of applications we get from each state. So there are a number of different factors that are going to come into play. But it is our intention to award in each of our states. That for sure, I can state very, very clearly. But beyond that, Karis and I have been talking quite a bit about, okay, so what factors are we looking at here? And I think a lot of it will boil down to just how many applications come in from each state to make sure that we've got some equitable representation through this grant making.
Thanks for that, Christine. Maria Bravo, would you like to come off mute and ask your question? I want to make sure I'm getting that right.
Hi. Hi. I'm so sorry, but I speak a very bad English. I am. That's a reason because I wrote my question. But basically, I'm gonna tell you. We have been doing many cultural events, but because finance issues, we couldn't incorporate before. So we did the incorporation last November, and we have a solid program for the next year, and we are doing programs, cultural events for Hispanic population in Houston, in Texas. And I wonder if, because we work with another non-for-profit organization in the last year, if those events count as program, because we had been very close to many organizations, non-for-profits in Houston, working together and in collaboration.
Yes.
So I did. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Christine?
I don't see why you would not be eligible. I want encourage you to apply. Um, yeah, the fact that you've been doing programming since 2021, that is a 3-year span if you've been doing programming ever since then. The fact that you've been working with others is terrific. We encourage collaborations, obviously, but your organization could certainly apply.
Thank you. Okay. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Maria. So we have a question from Joyce, and I think I know the answer, but it's along the same vein as Maria's question. The family organization incorporated in 2020, I'm assuming a nonprofit organization. We have not had any profits and only a few community events starting this year. Are we too limited to apply?
We did not define how much activity you do. So I think it would be hard for us to measure that. Impact kind of ripples out into the community. So we're looking at the application on the whole, not just at one piece of what your organization does, but your letters of support and your commitment to your community and what it is that you're doing there and activating. That's what the focus of the reviewers will be.
Thank you, Joyce, for that question. All righty, we still have a few minutes left. Any other questions?
Did we answer Benita's question?
Oh, wait, did I miss?
Right above Joyce's.
We answered Maria's.
Hi,
Yeah.
hi, this is Benita. I'm sorry, I didn't unmute myself earlier because my baby's shouting his head off. But you did actually answer my question because I see that, Karis, you have said yes to it. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Excellent. Thanks.
Thank you.
I had missed your response already in the chat.
I forgot that I responded. So, hey, this is why we're a good team, Christine. Nancy Sanchez. Nancy, you
Hi,
are.
everybody. Hi. Nice to meet you. I have a question. My organization is non-profit organization 5163, and we provide the after-school program different: painting, drawing, acting class, workshop with the hand, with recycled material, for the children, adolescent, and the family. When it's only one application for painting or for separate application.
Thanks for that, Nancy. It's not about a project. It's one application for the organization. The funding is for your operations. So it's not about funding a specific thing that you're doing. It's about paying your staff. It's about doing any marketing and that kind of thing. It's paying your rent. It's paying your electric bill. Those are the kinds of operating expenses that you could use this funding for. So it's not about a specific project. Although I should say it could be used to pay for projects for sure, but think about it a little bit more broadly.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Nancy. All righty. I think we got through all the questions. We still have 5 minutes left for Q&A, or we can move on to my questions.
I do have one more question.
There we go.
My question was, in our budget, if we include salary, are we able to include the hiring of contracting a consultant who does a lot of technology, website updating, revamps, contract writing? Is that acceptable?
Absolutely. This can be for anything that the organization feels supports its mission. And it sounds like that would be all about sustainability and moving the organization forward, getting it on stable ground. So by all means, those kinds of expenses for hiring on new staff, so long as it's something that there's a vision for going forward, how that position might be able to be maintained. Similarly for new programs, if you're thinking about creating something new that you could do within your community and it serves a very specific purpose to support the organization's mission, then by all means that can be included in addition to those overhead expenses that you get a bill for each month.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. We also had a question from Judy Barber, similar question, could this be used for salaries? And yes, it's part of operational costs. All right. Oh, there we go, Judy. Hey, Judy.
Okay, there. My questions, we have been in place for 3 years, but we don't pay salaries. Everything's been voluntary because we don't have the money to pay salaries. But so if we got this grant and it just sounds tremendous, then we could begin to pay salaries and that would be okay.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yet then this money is a good start at it. And then from our community, we'd need to match money, not match money for this grant, but to pay people continual then, right? Is that correct?
It could be certainly used to leverage those kinds of opportunities. That
Right.
would be, that's the dream scenario, right?
Yes, right. Well, the grant's a dream. It's wonderful. So thank you very much.
You bet.
Thank you. All righty, last call for any more questions.
Remember that you can always email us at culturalsustainability@ma.org.
Yes, and I will join Christine for some office hours in November. We will be sitting in a Zoom room.
Mhm.
So now we will stop the recording and perhaps we should put up that closing slide just one more time for those of you that want to take down the email address.